listen, it's a big game, and I think more mentally for Manchester City, because obviously last season they lost the last 3 fixtures against them. Yeah. I don't think the Premier League. I was at the Premier League game, and obviously you've got Aguero trying the Panenka just before half time to make it 2-0. That game is dead and buried because City were controlling that game so much in the Premier League at the Etihad. He misses that. Obviously, they go back. Second half, Kevin De Bruyne got injured. And then you've got the momentum with Chelsea. From there, the semi-final of the FA Cup, that was a big one to lose. And then the Champions League one was the most hurtful one. So I think mentally for Manchester City, they need to do something on Saturday. Early kick-off, they've had a day's more rest after the EFL games. And I actually think they're going to win. You know, everything tells me I should fancy Chelsea to win this game. But I've just got a feeling it's like me against the world kind of mentality where City going into this game, Pep's already spiky. He's already coming out and saying, "Oh, as soon as we lose a game or as soon as we don't win a game, everyone's going to say we're losing this because we've not got a striker." So he's a bit edgy already. He's a bit spiky already. So I think he's going to portray that onto the players, and I think they're going to have a reaction. Listen, it's a massive one for Lukaku. You know, flat track bully. He's been labelled that many times, but I just feel with Kevin De Bruyne getting back in the squad, Foden back in there, there's going to be a lift around the Etihad at the campus and that in training, and they're going to go into this game and they're going to give it everything, and I think they're going to get the win. You
mentioned that penalty miss Aguero, my mate, who's the big man at Foot Asylum. I don't know if you know him, Barry Bowen. Yeah. Barry's a lovely guy, big City fan. He was disgusted with Aguero. I mean, he was disgusted with him with that penalty miss.
He had a bad end to his Manchester City career, didn't he? You know, obviously the Champions League was his final game for the club, but prior to that, you know, he'd not played a lot of football, a little bit showboaty with that Panenka. Listen, it goes in, everyone says, "Oh, he's brilliant."
Do you know I played against Panenka? Can you believe that?
That's how old you are, right?
I played against Panenka.
That's
1981, Ipswich Town, Bohemians of Prague.
Wow.
And he missed a penalty.
Steady.
No, I didn't.
No, it's a massive game, isn't it?
Would they take a draw, Man City, Trev?
I just don't think they've got that in the DNA under Pep. They don't go for draws. They're not going to say, "All right, well, let's keep it at 0-0." They're going to go for the win.
Do they need a number 9? Do they need a Victor Hovland?
Oh, I heard that earlier. That's definitely H&J.
Yeah.
Razor.
I've never been on their show, so I always wanted to be on their show. I thought I had to throw something in to get on there.
Top man.
I mean, you're looking at City, and Chelsea were very impressive though, Trev, in that second half against Tottenham.
Yeah,
it was a really, well thought out. I know Tottenham started well and they could have first 15-20 minutes, but I thought the change, he made that big change half time, Kante come on, and that seemed to change the game with his energy, and he's a magnificent player, isn't he, Kante?
Oh, he just hunts the ball down, doesn't he?
Fantastic.
You mentioned Lukaku earlier, Trev. Yeah. Imagine he bangs it. Imagine Chelsea win 2-0 and he scores 2. People are going, "Why don't we buy him? Why don't we buy him?"
Yeah, I think we were linked to Lukaku. I think Manchester City were linked to Lukaku, and whether it was the money that was being asked for, or whether it was Lukaku's choice that he didn't want to go and play for Pep, I don't know. But again, I've said it many times, I think we struggled since we let Džeko go. Edin Džeko was a great player for the club, and as we've seen, he's gone on and scored a ridiculous amount of goals for different clubs. He should have stayed at the club, I feel, because he was so useful. It was a plan B, he had height, he was a great link player. And we have struggled with that since he left. Even when Aguero was there, we never had that plan B where you could put a striker in and say, right, we'll just beat that press a little bit by just flipping that one over the midfield into his feet or into his... We've never had that player. And that's why I was infused that we was going to get a striker, a proper number 9, whether that was going to be Harry Kane or somebody else. I was excited about that because it would have changed the way that City could play.
To be fair to Jamie, right, and I don't know if he's looking that far ahead, but am I right in saying City play Chelsea then Liverpool?
Yeah.
Now, if they were to lose them both, that might change. You might think, have they blown it?
Well, it's going to make it difficult because you look at the top teams, and in the top teams, I mean, you think you've got to with the players that Manchester United have brought in and the expectancy, you've got to say the top 4 are going to be very, very strong against the rest of the league this season. So,
what about the Southampton game, Trev? You're right, the top 4 without a doubt. Yeah. But the Saints game, were they unlucky, or did Saints just get their tactics spot on?
I think a little bit of both. You know, that can happen when you've got so much possession, you're creating so many, I wouldn't say goal-scoring chances, but so many situations. I think at times you look at that and you see teams where they're dominating possession, they get into that final third, there's a deep block, and sometimes they get frustrated. I think you've got to stay patient. 2, a few little pop shots from 20-25 yards, because one of them could go in, and all of a sudden you suck someone out by doing that. And when they come out, then that creates a gap in behind, and it's just changing it up and refreshing it and keeping the boys bright and believing that they can do it. And unfortunately, and fair play to Southampton, you know, they put the bodies on the line, they made blocks, the keeper was on fire, and that can happen. But I think if you have a striker, one comes off his knee or he gets a deflected shot and puts it in the back of the net and you win 1-0. And that's the difference for me by having an out-and-out, you know, a number 9, a Shearer, a Kane, a Lukaku. That is the difference. But
yet Pep might turn around and say, hold on, we've had 2 5s and a 6 so far.
He can say that, though, because they have dominated games. But it's not the games that you dominate that you worry about. It's the ones where you dominate and don't get the goal. That's where you feel maybe a striker was needed. And listen, whatever he says, he knows he wanted a striker this season, this summer. He just didn't get over the line with one. So, and I think a little when I listen to his interviews, a little bit that frustration is he almost knew this was coming. When the games were going to be difficult and they didn't get over the line and win a game, which was a close game, he knew this conversation was coming. So I think it's just nailed him a little bit.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.